All right, Alicia. So we are here, CNY Fertility Live, a little series of inspirational stories. Our first guest here is Alicia. So I guess let's just kind of start things off, Alicia, by you telling us a little bit about yourself. The basics. Where you're from. Are you from New York, or are you from another part of the country? And yeah, why don't we just start with that? Where are you from?
I'm from New York, about an hour outside of Syracuse.
Okay, awesome, great.
Mhm.
And why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey and I guess why are you here today? What are you here to tell us about?
We had a really hard time getting pregnant. We started trying about 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago. At first, we were just told, like it's going to happen. Don't worry. Just, it could take like a year. But after 2 years went by, still nothing, and just got told, try timing things, and that didn't work. And then finally got referred to CMI Fertility, and they did some tests, found I had a blocked fallopian tube, and we had surgery for that. And then we started IUI, and after 4 cycles, we got pregnant, and we have a 7-week-old baby boy now.
All right, awesome. There you go. So yeah, take us back a little bit to your struggles. When you first decided you wanted to uh, have a baby, and what that was like. And if anybody has any questions right off the bat for Alicia, feel free to drop them in the comments. But let's go back a little bit there, just to your mindset, what you were, that your doctor, it sounded like maybe your OBGYN was telling you kind of just give it a year. Can you tap back into that mindset at all, a little bit of what that was like? And
Yeah, the first few months, I didn't expect it to happen right away, so I wasn't worried. And then kind of as months went by, and starting to get frustrated that it wasn't happening. And then after a year, they're just, oh, just give it a few more months. And they, just did some basic blood tests and just kept telling me everything was okay. And then I changed doctors, and they were like, after we were trying for 3 years, they're like, that maybe you need some more help. And they recommended, getting some more tests done, and kind of taking a deeper look. And then they mentioned CMI fertility might be a good option.
right on. And when you found out, then you got referred to CNY Fertility, and you kind of got your testing done. Was your tubes looked at? Was that the first time you had had your tubes looked at? And were you
Yeah, nobody had
surprised?
mentioned it before.
Yeah.
I didn't know that could have been a problem. And I have a history of endometriosis, so that played into it too.
Okay. And you knew of your endometriosis
Yes.
before?
Hmm.
Okay. Awesome. And what can you tell us a little bit more about your IUIs, and maybe your first one, and kind of, I guess, maybe the discussions. Let's maybe even go back before that, your discussions with your doctors at CMI Fertility, your consultation, and what sort of, after discovering your blocked
Hmm.
tubes, what sort of things did they recommend, and what the discussion they had with you, and yeah.
We had surgery to open up the block tube and clean up the endometriosis. And then after about 6 weeks, I healed from the surgery. We started a medicated cycle for IUI, which mentioned IVF was a possibility, but IUI is less invasive, so that was the first thing to try. And we planned on doing 4 cycles, and if it didn't take after that, we were going to try IVF. So I did. I can't remember all the meds they put me on, but a few different medications, and then the trigger shot. And I was also following Dr. Kiltz's keto diet too.
Okay.
I was making sure I was eating the right things to prep my body for getting pregnant.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. So how long did you do the keto diet for? When was that something you started before your first IUI, or did you
Yeah.
start doing that?
Yeah, I started that a few months before.
Okay. How
I
did
think that definitely helped.
what's that?
I think that definitely helped.
Okay, awesome. How did you start? Was that kind of completely new to you? That
Uh, it wasn't totally new, but it was. I made some changes, and I started doing like eggs for breakfast every day, and a lot more protein in my diet.
nice. Okay, great. Well, and did was the surgeries for the tubes and endometriosis? What were kind of the results of those?
They said they were able to open the tube successfully, and it was moderate endometriosis, but they were able to remove those spots, and I think that definitely having the tube open was a big difference.
Awesome. And tell us a little bit, I guess, about the moment. Uh, it was your fourth IUI
Yes.
that you got pregnant, so that was
Mhm.
gonna be your last one. Uh,
Mhm. Yeah.
why don't you tell us a little bit about the moment that you found out uh, you were pregnant, I guess.
It was like 4 in the morning, and I got up to use the bathroom, and I had a pregnancy test up in the cupboard. And I just kind of figured, like, well, why not? And it came up positive. I was so surprised. Went and woke my husband up and was, it's positive. And he's just, what's positive? He's all sleepy. So he was confused, but it was a really happy moment. And then I was cautious too, because I was afraid it was like, waiting for the blood test to make sure it was real.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. I guess long did you have to wait from that test to the blood test?
I had the blood test later that morning, and then they called and said that it was positive for HCG, and then had another test 2 days later to make sure it was rising.
Awesome. So not too long of a wait. Did you take any more tests between then or?
Yes, I
Yeah.
took one more I wanted to see it turn positive again. After having so many negative tests, it was really good to see it turn positive.
Yeah, that's a pretty amazing moment. Was that your first positive pregnancy test that you had
Yes.
experienced? Yeah.
Hmm.
Wow. And then I guess, does anybody have any questions? I don't see anything coming in. Yeah, I see a few congratulations from Ashley and Miss K Bell. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. So Alicia here is a former patient of ours who did a few IUIs and got pregnant on her fourth IUI and had her baby boy about seven weeks ago.
Yes.
7 weeks ago. Okay. Well, I'm just going to ask you a little bit more about your pregnancy and what life is like now. And did you did you continue the keto diet throughout pregnancy? Uh,
Yes.
you did. Okay.
Hmm.
And I guess what sort of tips, what sort of advice, what sort of words of wisdom or inspiration or courage do you have to those who may be on the other side still, looking at this in a way that maybe they can't even imagine it yet, and they look at it from afar and think, oh, I may never get there.
Yeah, we were definitely ready to give up hope, and I think knowing that there was other options, like that IVF was an option after if IUI didn't work, and that that might be more involved, but it had good success rates. But there was other options, that there was more things than just those 4 cycles, or we could try more cycles if we wanted.
Mhm.
The keto diet was definitely helpful with controlling my blood sugar when I was pregnant too.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's hugely important, and I'm glad you kind of started that right away. I'm sure it played a big part in,
Mhm.
you being successful with IUIs, and so yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do you let's see, any questions? Any questions? Nothing coming in yet. Why don't you tell us a little bit about, I guess, what your experiences are like now as a mother of a newborn?
It's a little crazy, but it's really great. And, having this tiny little person that this he's just perfect.
Nice.
The 9 months went by really fast. So, and everyone tells me the first year is going to go fast.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. Enjoy. Uh, I just want to thank you very much for coming on here quickly tonight. I'll let you get back to your little one, but thank you so much for popping on here and sharing your experience and sharing your words of wisdom and your story for all of our community. So yeah, thank you so much.
Okay. All right.
All right, thank you, Alicia.
Okay.
Bye now.